Thinking about visiting Panama? Before you pack your bags, there are a few things you need to know that will make your trip smoother and more enjoyable. From the art of cheek kissing and navigating personal space to why you should always BYOB to the grocery store. These are the things no one tells you about. We're covering it all in today's video. 7 things you need to know before visiting Panama. And we're having an unfiltered conversation. Whether it's understanding local driving habits or how a bit of Spanish will get you a lot further, I'm sharing insider tips that will help you fit right in and make the most of your time in Panama. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Panama Podcast. From dreaming to doing. I'm your host, Melissa Darnay, an American who's been living her someday, every day since 2012. Get ready for a weekly dose of Panama sunshine and inspiration, from hilarious expat adventures to insider tips on living, investing, and having a blast in Panama. Curious to learn more? Go to choosepanama.com and snag your free copy of Panama Uncorked. Joining me today is Stacey Jenks, my longtime friend and colleague at Choose Panama. Stacey's been living in Panama since early 2023, so she's still fresh enough to remember all the quirks and surprises that come with moving here.
Yes.
I thought it would be fun to have Stacey share her take on the things she found most confusing when she first arrived. Stacey, I asked you to come up with a list of 7 things that stood out to you as a newcomer.
Only 7.
Yeah, only 7. And since we love a good countdown here, let's kick it off with number 7. What's the 7th thing people need to know before they visit or make the move to Panama?
Well, definitely BYOB.
And what does BYOB mean?
Not what you think, not what you wish. It's bring your own bags to the grocery store, because if you don't, you have to buy them at the grocery store.
In an effort to be more conservation friendly, Panama passed a law that they cannot give you disposable one-time use bags anymore. Because of this, you can either buy a biodegradable bag, something like a paper bag, or a plastic bag made from cornstarch, or you can bring your own. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but taking your own bags to the grocery store is something, once you get in the hang of it, it makes sense. But as someone who's visiting here, it can be awkward.
I mean, yes, it's just something nobody thinks to tell you. So my first few trips, because I forgot, I would go to the grocery store and we just have to buy, and they're not expensive, but I started to collect 30 bags, reusable bags from the grocery store. So I remember now to take my own.
Yeah, and they're not expensive. They're about 35 cents each. But again, by the time you've got a collection of 100, you spend some money on reusable bags.
So, and now even when I go back to the United States, I'm still in the habit of taking my own and not using the plastic ones anymore.
That's right. And we do feel better because it's a good conservation effort.
Yes. It's kind of forced upon us, but now I like it.
Exactly. Number 6, you must ask for the bill in a restaurant.
Yes, if you don't, you might just sit there all night.
Literally, you'll sit there for hours and they will never bring you the bill. So it's something, unless you say la cuenta, which means the count or the check, then they won't bring you anything, because in the culture here, it's rude for them to bring you a bill and try to hurry you up, because you may want to stay there for another hour and relax.
And they're fine with that. In Dallas, you get your check when your food is delivered, and then they ask you if you want anything else.
Because they want to turn the table. In Panama, they don't necessarily plan on turning the table. So if you're booked at a 7:30 dinner, you may be the only one. They don't have a 9:30 reservation.
Exactly.
So make sure and ask for la cuenta.
La cuenta.
Number 5, poverty is real.
Yes, when you live in Panama, you'll see that poverty is definitely a reality for many people. But small acts go a long way here, and they truly appreciate it. Whether it's used clothes that you're no longer wearing or food that you're not going to eat, you give them these items, and they are so appreciative. And they will also return their generosity in one way or another to you.
That's right. The generosity that you give them, whether it's in a slightly larger tip than normal, or if you're coming down and you have some clothes that you don't know what to do with and they're, in good condition, this is a great place to give things away, because people do appreciate it. There's a lot of people really who do live hand to mouth here, and it's not that they're not working. They are working. They're working hard. So a lot of them tend to have a lot of children. One of the people who works with us, I think he has 16 children. We need to buy him a subscription to Netflix.
We need to pay him with another form of money.
But when you have that many kids, no matter how much money you make, the money doesn't stretch enough. So he appreciates every little thing that we give to him. Number 4, driving is a blood sport.
It's the Hunger Games of Panama, basically.
Hunger Games of Panama City.
Yes. I was afraid to drive for the first 2 months. So until someone, I won't say who, said, we're going to rip the Band-Aid off and you're going to do it today.
Yeah.
And then I've been fine. Now I'm not afraid at all. But you just have to pay attention. You can't be texting and talking and not watching where you're actually going.
No, don't drive and talk on the phone. Don't drive and text. You're sitting there with both hands on the wheel, just like they taught you in driver's education so many years ago, hands at 10 and 2, and you're paying attention for everyone because sometimes they turn, not sometimes, quite often they'll turn left from the far right lane or right from the far left lane.
Yes.
That's normal here, so you have to pay attention to yourself as well as to somebody else. I do find once you get used to driving here, it makes sense because whoever has their nose out first wins. They're not going to hit you on purpose.
No.
So if you put your nose out, great, you win, but they're not going to give you a space. This isn't the place where you're going to drive where that's very full of courtesy where they're going to let you in. So you have to be a little bit aggressive and force your nose out.
True, but there is a courtesy as, honking here means something completely different. It's just a courtesy. Honk, honk, I'm coming up beside you. Here I come if you don't see me. Or, honk, honk, I'm turning. It's not the honk, honk, get out of my way, you bleepity bleep bleep.
Yeah, there's a communication device with honking that means so many different things depending upon the length of the honk. So a couple of short da-da-da-da-da-da means, hey, I'm here, pay attention to me. Whereas a longer honk means something else. And there is still the very, very long honk that's, I'm mad at you. But it doesn't happen as often as it certainly doesn't happen as often as it did to me in Dallas.
Not at all.
But it's funny, when I go back to the U.S., I want to be on my horn because I'm used to communicating with my horn now. And people in the U.S. don't really understand it.
And they don't appreciate it.
And they don't appreciate Stop honking.
Yes, exactly. Why is she honking at me?
Number 3, personal space.
And this is a big one for me anyway. It was a huge big one.
This is Stacey's issue because if she could put a box around herself, she would. She's not a hugger. She's not a personal space person. Like the normal American is about 18 inches to 2 feet. Stacey's 3 feet. She's got this big bubble around her. So when the Latins started wanting to talk to her, stand a little bit close, and we take dance lessons.
A little close. I mean,
we take dance, and we were taking tango lessons.
Oh boy,
and they want to be cheek to cheek, and it was very uncomfortable for Stacey specifically.
I was dancing like this.
And arched back.
Yeah, and they were like, why are you running away from me? So it was definitely something to get used to.
And one thing we learned from our dance instructor, Jonathan, I love you so much. Jonathan taught us in dancing that you have a frame. So if somebody in dance stands too close to you, what you do is you put your hand and you kind of push against them and regain your personal space. And what I've learned, even in regular life, you can do this as well. If somebody is standing too close to you and it makes you uncomfortable, instead of taking a big step back, which can be offensive, you can just put your hand on their shoulder and just gently push back to regain that personal space where you feel comfortable.
Agree.
Number 2, cheek kissing.
These cheeks.
When you're in Panama, it's actually very common to give somebody a kiss on the cheek when you greet them. Yes, in a business situation, you might shake someone's hand, but even in a business situation, it's common to kiss somebody on the cheek, even somebody you've never met. Now, a lot of North Americans, when they think of cheek kissing, they think of their type of cheek kissing, which is what you do with the people in your family. So your spouse or your children, will you actually take your lips and you connect it with the person's cheek?
And leave that little lipstick print like grandma does.
Like the grandma lipstick. But that's not the way you do it in Panama. I have a little prop for us. So again, this is what you do in North America when you give, see, lips. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you can see my lipstick on the apple, but you connect your lips to the apple. That's a North American kiss. A Latin kiss, you actually put your cheek next to their cheek and you air kiss. So there's nothing messy. You're not transferring lipstick. There's nothing wet or smoochy about it. It's just a light cheek graze air kiss.
It's just a friendly hello.
And that's why you can do it to everyone, because you're really not putting your lips on their face.
Exactly.
Right? Are you used to it now?
I am used to it now.
And do you find it adorable or do you find it still weird?
No, I love it now.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
I do like it. I feel like it's very warm.
It's very warm. So now when I don't get it, I'm like,
right.
What, is something wrong with me? Do I smell?
And now when we're so used to kissing people we don't know or that we're meeting, a lot of times when we meet people from North America, the first thing we do is we lean in for a kiss. And if you're from Europe, you're used to this. But again, from the U.S. or Canada,
Not so much.
It's a little odd.
Mm-hmm.
But just know that this is something that I think a lot of people do end up liking.
Yeah, I think so.
Before we get to number one,
I love number one.
Before we get to number one, if you've found value in this video, please press the like button. Also, we'd love it if you would tell us what you found interesting in the comments below, even if it's just a word or two. Number one, attempt to speak Spanish.
Attempt is the key word here. Okay. Been here a year and a half, and I'm still, ¿Dónde está el baño? Where's the bathroom? In case you're even worse than I am.
When I moved to Panama in 2012, so it's been a while, I thought I would learn it through osmosis. So I didn't realize how much time or effort it would take to learn. And it's a little frustrating because she has young children.
It's very frustrating.
And they're like fluent. And they learn it by osmosis, which is how we thought we would learn it. And it doesn't work that way when you're older. No. So the fun thing is to try and speak. No matter how bad you are, it's a sign of respect.
And they appreciate it. I mean, most of them understand some English, and if they don't, they will immediately get somebody that will help you. But if you put forth the effort, they appreciate it.
One of the concierges in a building that we go to a lot, every time, we say the basics. Buenos dias, ¿dónde está? ¿Cómo estás? Hello, good afternoon, how are you doing? And every time he says to us in English, oh, your Spanish is so good. And it's so funny because obviously we're saying the same thing and we have terrible accents, but they appreciate the fact that we've just made that effort. So even when you come and you really don't know anything, if you take the time to learn just a few phrases, good morning, buenos dias, how are you, ¿cómo estás? How much does it cost?
Yo quiero un otro botella de vino.
Yeah. If you know Spanish, you're laughing. She basically said, I want another bottle of wine. So learn a few things, and then a big smile and some eye contact will take you the rest of the way. There are so many apps that will help you. But again, it's so respectful just to show them that you're making an effort. They'll bridge that gap and go the rest of the way for you.
Absolutely.
And I have to say, I find Panama so much more giving in this respect than my country.
Me too.
Because in the United States, if you're not in someplace like Miami, people will say, oh, learn English.
You live here, you need to know English.
Right.
And
it's hard. It's hard when you're older. As a child, it's easy, but it is harder. So the fact that they are much more forgiving than we are as Americans, I'm so grateful because it has taken so much longer than I ever thought to become, I'm not fluent yet, to become conversational.
Right.
Right. Thanks for joining us on this unfiltered conversation about the things you need to know before visiting or moving to Panama. Whether it's navigating the roads or figuring out that cheek kiss, These tips will help you settle in and enjoy everything this beautiful country has to offer. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Let us know what you thought of this unfiltered conversation. And next time, you can join us for a glass of bubbles. See you in Panama. Cheers.